The morning Elias Carter decided to take a homeless woman to his ex-wife's wedding was the same morning he almost lost his courage. The sun rose over the quiet suburb in soft gold, but inside his small rented house, everything felt heavy with old memories. His 5-year-old daughter's pink shoes were lined up by the door, polished twice the night before. On the kitchen table sat a cream-colored invitation with elegant cursive letters announcing the wedding of the woman who had once promised to love him forever. Elias stared at it for a long time, feeling the old ache pressing against his ribs like a bruise that never quite healed. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whisper Tales 3. Stories like this remind us that even broken days can lead to beautiful beginnings. Elias had not planned to attend the wedding. When his ex-wife, Vanessa, left 3 years ago for a wealthier man with a polished smile and a lakeside house, she had also left behind more than just a marriage. She left behind unpaid bills, a little girl who cried at night, and a man who had to learn how to braid hair by watching online videos at 2 a.m. Being a single father was not the life Elias had imagined, but it became the one he embraced fiercely. He worked double shifts at a hardware store, skipped meals to make sure little Aria had everything she needed, and learned to swallow his pride when neighbors whispered about how quickly Vanessa had moved on. The wedding invitation arrived unexpectedly. It wasn't cruel, but it wasn't kind either. Vanessa wrote that Aria should attend to see her mother happy. Elias understood the unspoken message. Vanessa wanted to prove she had chosen the better life. For days, Elias wrestled with the idea. He didn't want his daughter to feel caught between bitterness and celebration. In the end, he decided to go, not for Vanessa, but for Aria. He wanted her to see that grace was stronger than resentment. The morning of the wedding, Elias and Aria walked to the bus stop under the bright daytime sky. The ceremony would be held at a luxurious country club across town, a place Elias had only seen in magazine ads. As they passed the old railway bridge, Elias noticed a woman sitting on the curb. She looked to be in her early 30s, her dark hair loosely tied back, her clothes clean but worn thin. A small cardboard sign rested beside her, though she wasn't holding it up. She was simply staring at the sunlight hitting the pavement, as if trying to remember what warmth felt like. Aria tugged on her father's hand and asked why the lady looked so sad. Elias hesitated. He had only enough cash for bus fare and a small gift for the bride and groom, but something inside him stirred. He remembered what it felt like to lose everything familiar. He crouched down and spoke gently to the woman. Her name was Mirella Duran. She had once been a music teacher before hospital bills and a series of terrible events pushed her onto the streets. She said it quietly, without self-pity, as though it were simply a fact of nature. Elias surprised even himself when he asked her if she had anywhere to be that day. She shook her head. The words came out before he could second-guess them. He told her they were heading to a wedding and that if she wanted a hot meal and a seat in the sun, she could come along. Mirella blinked in disbelief. She looked at Aria, who smiled brightly and offered her a daisy she had picked from the sidewalk. Something fragile and hopeful flickered across Mirella's face. Before boarding the bus, Elias used a portion of his savings to stop by a small thrift boutique. He picked out a simple sky blue dress and a pair of modest heels for Mirella. She disappeared into the store's tiny changing room and emerged transformed. The dress fit her like it had been waiting for her all along. She carried herself differently now, not like someone invisible, but like someone rediscovering her reflection. The country club glittered under the noon sun. Crystal decorations sparkled across manicured lawns. Guests in designer suits and flowing gowns stepped out of luxury cars. Elias felt the familiar sting of comparison but kept walking. When they entered the venue, heads turned, not because of Elias but because of Mirella. There was a quiet elegance about her that money could not purchase. She moved with gentle confidence, her gratitude shining brighter than the chandeliers above. Vanessa stood near the floral arch, radiant in white lace. When she saw Elias, surprise flickered in her eyes, followed quickly by curiosity as she noticed Mirella beside him. Whispers traveled through the guests like wind through leaves. Some assumed Mirella was a model or an artist. No one guessed she had been sitting on a curb hours earlier. As the ceremony unfolded beneath the open daytime sky, something unexpected happened. The hired violinist failed to arrive due to a scheduling mishap. A nervous murmur spread among the planners. Without music, the carefully rehearsed entrance would fall apart. Morella quietly stepped forward. She explained, with humble calm, that she had once taught music. Someone handed her the spare violin meant for decoration. When she lifted it beneath her chin, the crowd fell silent. The first note shimmered through the warm afternoon air, pure and aching and beautiful. It wasn't just music, it was survival wrapped in melody. Morella played as though she were stitching her broken years back together. Guests wiped their eyes. Even Vanessa seemed shaken by the raw emotion pouring from those strings. Elias felt something shift in his chest. He realized he had not brought Morella to the wedding out of pity. He had brought her because kindness recognizes kindness. By the time the ceremony ended, Morella had done more than fill in for a missing musician. She had reminded everyone what grace looked like. Conversations changed tone, smiles softened. The groom's sister, who ran a local arts foundation, approached Morella with tears in her eyes and offered her a chance to audition for a teaching position. A photographer asked to capture her portrait. Applause followed her as she stepped away from the arch, sunlight catching in her hair. Elias watched it all with quiet awe. He had expected humiliation, maybe indifference. Instead, he witnessed redemption unfolding in real time. Arya squeezed his hand and whispered that the lady looked like a princess. Elias realized that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open your life to someone else's story. After the reception meal, Vanessa approached Elias. There was no bitterness in her expression now, only reflection. She thanked him for coming and for raising Arya with such steadiness. Elias felt no triumph, only peace. He understood that his worth had never depended on comparison. As the afternoon light softened into a gentle glow, Morella stood beside Elias near the garden fountain. She said she had forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Elias replied that sometimes being seen begins with someone choosing not to look away. Neither of them knew what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in years, possibility felt real. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to engage with the video. Your support helps keep stories of hope and humanity alive. And before we reach the ending, I have one special request for you. Please comment the word second chance if you believe no one is beyond redemption. When Elias and Arya boarded the bus home that evening, the sky was still bright with lingering daylight. Morella held a small card with the Arts Foundation's number written on it. She wasn't going back to the bridge. She had been invited to stay temporarily with one of the wedding guests until her audition. As the bus pulled away, she waved, her smile steady and luminous. Elias leaned back in his seat, Arya asleep against his shoulder. He realized that he had attended the wedding fearing embarrassment, yet he left carrying something far more valuable than pride. He carried proof that compassion, even when given on your hardest day, can rewrite someone else's ending, and maybe your own too.